Hello everyone and welcome back to My Opinion. And the Chennai Super Kings have beaten the Royal Challengers Bangalore by 23 runs and have registered their first victory of IPL 2022. So a good win for them. And I wasn't surprised that the CSK batting fired this well this game. I think that in three of the four games we'd seen CSK play prior to this one, we hadn't exactly seen the best of CSK's batting. But in one of those three games, and this one being against the Sunrisers, I think putting 154 on a track that was on the slow side, I thought was a good effort. And in this game, the two players who've been showing their best form for CSK in Robin Uthappa and Shivam Dube, putting on a show, 88 and 95 not out respectively. And their partnership of 165 served as a backbone for CSK to post that mammoth total that they did. And regarding the bowling, I think after having RCB 50 for 4 before the end of the seventh over, they would have wanted to ram home that advantage more and not give them much of a sniff in the game from that point in time. Certainly not as much of a sniff as they gave them, because a combination of brilliant batting and poor bowling resurrected RCB's innings. And I thought Prabhu Desai, Shahbaz Ahmed and Dinesh Karthik were brilliant, but they were also aided by some poor bowling. And for CSK, yes, they won the game, but had RCB not lost wickets in critical phases of the game, then they would have found it a lot harder to defend this total. And even then, it was a bit of a scrap in the end until Dinesh Karthik got out to really wrap up the win. So some positives to be taken from RCB from this game. I thought Hazelwood and Siraj with the new ball were excellent, and Hazelwood was excellent all through his 4 overs, 1 for 33, despite 216 being conceded. And also with how the three players that I mentioned earlier resurrected RCB's batting innings. But apart from that, in their bowling innings, they didn't exactly have control of the game after the power play. Really, after Moeen Ali's dismissal, they didn't have control of that innings. And CSK should still be very happy with their win. And once again, CSK have beaten RCB. And I thought things would be different this time around because of the momentum both sides had coming into this game. RCB winning 3 out of their 4 and CSK winning none. But yet, with the way CSK amassed their runs and RCB lost 4 wickets before the 7 over mark, it was just a familiar feeling. I think that we've seen a lot of RCB capitulations against CSK. CSK, in my view, I've said this before, they have the mental edge in this franchise, and this derby, and they've won 19 out of the 28 encounters. And there was a tweet posted by RCB, I think last year, when Dhoni and Kohli were leading their respective franchises, and it was fire versus ice. Fire referring to Kohli and ice referring to Dhoni. And I've said before that ice has won most of the time. I just think that that just really shows that CSK seem to have that mental edge in this derby. And last season, when RCB had won 5 out of their first 5 games, they came up against CSK, and after the 20th over of the first innings, they really lost control of the game and they capitulated after that point. So I think, it just shows that even with CSK not winning any of their previous 4 games, the way they won this game, especially with amassing those runs and getting RCB 4 wickets down for 50 before the end of the 7th over, it was a familiar feeling. And regarding the starting 11s for both teams, CSK going in with an unchanged 11 from their previous game, and for RCB 2 changes. Unfortunately for Harshal Patel, apparently something has happened in his family, and so I convey my condolences to him and his family. And so there was kind of a forced change with Prabhu Desai having to be included in place of him, and Josh Hazelwood being brought into the side in place of David Willey. So those being the 2 changes, and Faf du Plessis winning the toss and choosing to bowl first. And I thought the way that Hazelwood and Siraj set the tone in the power play was really good. I think that for Mohammad Siraj, I think about 3 overs up front and gave 19 runs. And I think that this is the role that he should play in this side, because he struggles bowling at the death. He struggles bowling when the batsmen attack him. And when there's movement with the new ball, that's probably the time to bowl him in this format, I think. That's when he's had the most success. Even against the Rajasthan Royals, he bowled his first 2 overs really well, extracting the movement. But then in his last 2 overs, his economy rate went above the 10 over mark because he bowled at the death. And that's why I'm saying that, preferably for me, I think he should bowl all 4 overs of his up front. And you've got Harsha Patel and when he comes back into the side, and then Josh Hazelwood to bowl at the death. So I think that if you want to maximize the output of Siraj in a T20 side, that's probably what I feel you should do. Hazelwood also excellent. I thought that both of those two relentless in their line and length, especially Josh Hazelwood, who was excellent all through in his 4 overs. In fact, 1 for 33 when your side have conceded 216 is just outstanding. And with the way Gaikwad was dismissed, I think look, runs were hard to come by in the power play, and that shot was more out of desperation than anything else. He was going well at 17. He also scored 16 in the previous game. And I thought in these 2 innings he was going well, but then a heave across the line of a delivery that was just on a length and hitting, just around the off stump, and Ruturaj Gaikwad being dismissed for 17. And the next wicket falling 3 overs later when Shreyas Prabhudesai ran Moeen Ali out from a deep backward point, and Moeen Ali wasn't even in the frame. So 36 for 2 in 6.4. And I thought the partnership between Uthappa and Shivam Dube, which really set up this was the spine of getting to this mammoth total. It changed the course of the game because at that point you thought, look, the pitch was on the slow side throughout this game. And you thought that this would be another kind of a 160 kind of game where you think that the side batting first would still have a chance to defend it, but the chasing side can still win. And with the way that Dube and Uthappa attacked the spinners, I thought that that was what really turned this game from a 160 game, a prospective 160 game, to a high-scoring one. With the way that they hit 6s off the spinners over in the mid-wicket region, first Dube starting it off fairly early on in the partnership, and then Robin Uthappa. I think it really put pressure on RCB. And with Shivam Dube, I've said this even in previous videos, I think, look, there's just something about the environment that CSK have within the side. I think that with him playing for RCB and Rajasthan Royals, yes, he showed glimpses, but we saw potential, but the consistency wasn't there at all. And in this case, look, he was walking out at number 4 and making use of his great form that he's shown so far in this tournament. And he honestly looks like a much improved player in this setup. I just think that, yes, he's shown whatever he's shown before, but he's been doing it more consistently. He's got 3 contributions now in 5 games. And I think that, there seems to be an air of responsibility with the way he's going about his game. And it just shows that, yes, we know he has potential, but the environment that CSK have in their squad just seems to be just insurmountable, I think, compared to every other franchise. And I really like the way that those two attacked the spinners. I thought they both deserved hundreds. Uthappa 88 or 50 and Dube 95 or 46. Robin Uthappa has just been probably the most elegant batsman to watch in my view in this tournament. 50 off 27 against LSG and then 88 or 50 in this case. Really achieved those high strike rates, and it's just been a joy to watch him bat. I think even then I have a soft spot for Robin Uthappa because of the kind of record that he has, and also he seems to be, even when whether he was on the Crick Buzz Live show for the 2019 World Cup, or when he just talks in general, he seems like a very soft-spoken person. So again, he's someone who you just really would want to do well. And with the record that he's got in the IPL, I just think he's so underrated. And I'm really happy that he played this knock today, and it was a joy to watch him bat. And Shivam Dube as well, an outstanding knock from him. I thought they both deserved hundreds. And RCB's Achilles heel, once again, their prospective Achilles heel. I thought that they'd struggle with death bowling in this kind of this 200 plus climate, even before the season started in my preview. But Mohammad Siraj and Akashdeep in the same team just does not work for me. I said this in my previous video as well. I just think, look, both of those are comfort zone bowlers, and they preferably would want to hit a length while not really being under threat of being attacked by the batsman. And even when RCB restricted the opposition to lower scores, Akashdeep and Mohammad Siraj, either one of those two or both still got hit. So I think that against KKR, Akashdeep still got hit, and I think gave 40 odd runs in the end. And also against the Mumbai Indians, Siraj being attacked all through the innings, and after even the Mumbai Indians were 79 for 6. When Akashdeep's figures were helped because of the situation, Siraj's figures weren't, and he went for 51 runs. So I think with both of those being comfort zone bowlers, it's a huge risk in a 200 plus kind of climate to be bowling those two in the same team. And I said in my preview of this game where if RCB had to defend 200, they find it a bit difficult with these two in the same team. But in the end, they found it hard to contain the runs at the end, and I wasn't surprised that they found it hard either. I just think that, especially look, Mohammad Siraj in his last over, 18 runs he gave, and Akashdeep struggling in his 4 overs, like putting 3 wides at one stage in his last over, 4 wides overall in the over. And yeah, it wasn't exactly the greatest bit of bowling from him. And personally, I think they should, when they bring Harshal Patel back into the side, they should replace Akashdeep with him. So they could have more of, I think the structure, it should be Siraj bows 4 overs up front, Hazelwood 2 overs up front, 2 at the death, and Siraj can bowl in the middle, and Harshal Patel can bowl in the middle overs and the death. And with Hasaranga bowling the middle overs as well, I think it would look much better than having 2 bowlers that is a fair, there's a fair bit of risk in bowling them in this format. And with what Siraj gets with the new bowl, I think he is the preferable option at this point in time. So a wonderful innings really from CSK after being 36 for 2 and 6.4. The way that Uthappa and Dube attacked the spinners and then the paces at the end, I thought was outstanding. And for the RCB bowling, nothing much to speak of really. I thought Siraj, with the first 3 overs that he bowled, you could say he conceded 18 runs, but the economy rate was still well under the overall run rate for the innings. And everyone getting tapped a bit, but Josh Hazelwood absolutely outstanding. 1 for 33 in his 4. I mean, 8.25 when the overall run rate is 10.8 is just absolutely outstanding. So a brilliant performance from him. And even in the last over when he conceded runs, I mean, that first shot from Shivam Dube was ridiculous, straight down the ground for 102 meter 6. And then I thought the second 6 was helped because of the short boundary. It didn't seem like he had really got the desired connection on that. So I thought even in the over where he went for runs, he was a bit unlucky. So Hazelwood was outstanding today and was only the real bright spark in the RCB bowling today. Apart from him and Siraj with a new ball and Hazelwood all through his 4 overs, there wasn't really too much for RCB to speak of in this innings. And now the RCB innings. Now I'm going to talk about here Anuj Rawat, because 12 of 16, and I think that, look, with RCB's 4 games prior to this, they've had slow starts in the power play. And I think that in this case, having a slow start in the power play wouldn't have been ideal because they were chasing 217. Yes, CSK had a sedate start in the power play, but I just think that extra scoreboard pressure for RCB would have played a part. And with Anuj Rawat, yes, he scored 66 in the previous game, but even then he hit a few boundaries to get his strike rate to that 140 mark. For the most part, he had slowed down after he got 12 runs after his first 7 deliveries. And so far, it doesn't really seem like he's that aggressive game is kind of it's something that he goes by. And I think in this game, yes, CSK had a sedate start, but with his conservative approach in the power play, I think that it did hurt RCB a bit starting up. And that's why maybe, in my view, they could either put Prabhu Desai to open, or they could play someone like a Mahipal Lamror in the side instead of Rawat, or they could actually play Shahbaz Ahmed to open and play Lamror in the middle. So I still think that I would play Mahipal Lamror instead of Anuj Rawat in my view, just to get that bit more of a strike rate. And if you open with either Shahbaz Ahmed or Suyash Prabhu Desai, I think you'll get a bit more of a fast start in that power play. And with 12 of 16, it did put pressure on the other batsmen around him. Faf du Plessis being dismissed off the bowling of Theekshana, who was excellent today, 4 for 33. I'll get to him in a bit. And Virat Kohli, a bit of a nothing shots off Mukesh Chaudhary. It was a case where, with the way that he played it, he wasn't exactly going to get the ball over the fielder at I think it was a deep backward square leg. Shilan Dube taking the catch and a huge wicket for CSK at that point. You've got Faf du Plessis and Virat Kohli dismissed before the end of the 5th over, with the score going at, the run rate being at less than 6 over when defending 217. A huge plus for CSK at that point, and I think that yes, the second dismissal, so Kohli's dismissal was a bit of a nothing shot, I think, but I think that with Faf du Plessis and Virat Kohli, they may have felt under a bit of pressure because of the conservative start that RCB had got in the power play. And after that, Anuj Rad being dismissed and the last ball of the play was a 42 for 3 and 6, so it was RCB really behind the 8 ball. Glenn Maxwell went really well for his 26 off 11, and again, when he was at the crease, it was really entertaining watch, and you thought that while he was at the crease and the way he was going, RCB still had quite a bit of a chance in this game. And he's got out to Jadeja for the 6th time, and with most of this, pretty much all the times I've seen him get out to Jadeja, it's kind of been a bad shot when the ball was bowled straight at the stumps, and I think he would have been a bit disappointed with his dismissal, because yes, he was going really well here and he wanted to go hard at that point, but the way that he got out today, he kind of was just threw the shot so early, and more than even that, it was just he just threw the bat at it really. He missed the ball and the ball hit the stump. So once again, Jadeja extending his record against Maxwell, but if you look at all the dismissals, it's pretty much the same way that he's got out. And at this point, RCB tottering a bit, 50 for 4 in 6.5 overs, and you'd think CSK had really got a grip on the game, especially dismissing du Plessis, Kohli and Maxwell before the end of the 7th over. But I thought Shahbaz Ahmed and Suyash Prabhudesai were outstanding. I think 41 of 27 and 34 of 18 with this, they really played 2 enterprising knocks, I thought. The first time I'd seen Suyash Prabhudesai bat, and within the first 3 balls that he faced, I got the impression that he's a very good player. And even if he hadn't scored this game, again, I wouldn't have really judged him too much on it. It is his first game in this tournament, but a really good first impression set by him. Shahbaz Ahmed this tournament has honestly been outstanding with the bat in my view. He scored a 27 against Kolkata Knight Riders, 45 against Rajasthan Royals, and now 41 here. Has been really good this tournament. I think that RCB, apparently he had scored 100 in a practice game the previous season, so he batted at number 3 a few times, but his batting really coming to the fore here, and I think they could even open with him if they wanted to. Prabhudesai excellent, and both of those two being dismissed by Theekshana, who was excellent today, both of them being bowled by Theekshana. And Dinesh Karthik, once again, he has not failed this tournament. He scored 140 and 330s, and he's been absolutely outstanding. In my view, the best finisher in the world since 2017, as I've said many times. And I think he should be on the flight to Australia for the T20 World Cup, honestly, because there is no one better than him at finishing the innings. I mean, if you're thinking about a lineup here, you've got Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul, Virat Kohli, Suryakumar Yadav, Hardik Pandya 5, Dinesh Karthik 6, Akshar Patel 7. That is just simply outstanding. I think that Dinesh Karthik, they should really think about including him in national colours again, because, yeah, I mean, he has just simply been outstanding in this season so far, and for quite a while now. So, yeah, I just think that I wasn't surprised with him playing that innings. And with those 3, with how they went, you thought from 50 for 4, RCB still had quite a bit of a chance. I thought if Dwayne Bravo, so yes, he went for 1 for 42 in his 4, but I still thought that when he came onto bowl for his first over, at that point, yes, RCB were 54 for 4 and 50 for 4 and then recovering, and at that point they were nearing the 100 mark when he came onto bowl. But I thought that if they got runs off him, the panic buttons would have started being pressed in the CSK camp. But just they huffed and puffed, and in the end, they just managing to restrict RCB to 193 for 9. And I say just because had the wicket at the start not really fallen in the manner that they did, had especially look, Wanido Hasaranga had hit a 6 off Jadeja before he got out, and even the boy he got out, it should have been a 6 as well. So Dinesh Karthik would have had some extra support to at the other end. They needed 48 of 18, and even then Dinesh Karthik's dismissal, had he had been batting at the other end, let's say, where the short boundary was on the leg side, he would have gone for 6. So even then, it was quite a bit of a huff and puff for CSK to get over the line, but they did in the end. 193 for 9 for RCB. So they'll be thinking that they recovered quite well from being 50 for 4, and they've really found some, especially in the likes of Suyash Trabulese and Shahbaz Ahmed. They've really got players who can stand up outside the four of Duplessis, Kohli, Maxwell, and Dinesh Karthik. And I think that they could put either of those two up to open the batting and include Mahipal Ramla on the side. And yeah, I'm saying this because Roberts scored 66 in the previous game, but I just think in terms of the runs that will be involved in most games this season, I just think that taking it slow in the power play is not a great thing. And SRH will have this trouble as well. In the last 2 games, they've won the game after they've taken it slow in the power play, but they're going to have to improve that. So I think that, I wouldn't be surprised. Certainly, I would include Mahipal Lomror in place of Anuj Rawat. And I went for CSK. And again, they would be really happy with this win, considering what I thought Theekshana was outstanding. 4 for 33 in his 4. Really held that line outside the off stump, almost like a medium pacer. And I've said that he drops it short quite a few times in international cricket and gets swatted, especially kind of a square of the wicket. And I still think that, look, he is a work in progress bowler, but the conditions were in his favour today. It was on the slower side, and with a new ball, he really was good pretty much all through his 4. It was 4 for 33 and 4 when you're defending 270. It's absolute outstanding stuff. Moeen Ali was, especially with the way that he bowled his first over, 1 run from the first over put RCB under pressure straight away. None for 19 in his 3. He hasn't been used too much in this tournament so far, but he's outstanding today in his 3 overs. Jadeja, I thought, look, he should have been hit for more runs than he was. I didn't think he was exactly bowling at his best today, but 3 for 39 is 4 for him. And I thought that in this case there would be a bit with how Glenn Maxwell was getting purchased in the first innings, bowling higher speeds around the off stump. I thought Jadeja would also suit this surface today, but in the end he should have probably gone for more runs than he went, but he picked up 3 wickets. And Dwayne Bravo 1 for 42 in his 4. So CSK just getting over the line. I thought they'd played Dwayne Pretorius instead of Chris Jordan today, since the surface is also on the slow side. And the same surface as they played on the previous game, that being a day game and this being a night game. And I thought Dwayne Pretorius in for Chris Jordan would just make it that bit more harder for RCB, with the pace not being brought to them as much. But in the end, that was that. CSK winning this game, a much needed win for them. And let's see what they do from this point onwards. In RCB, some positives for them, but I think that they would want to really improve that Achilles heel they have with their death bowling. And the next game tomorrow being the Mumbai Indians against the the Punjab Kings. It's in Pune. And with the latest games, I think that sometimes it has been on the slower side. So I'm not exactly sure how that game would go, but I think that if it is a belter, which especially in the game for Rajasthan Royals against the Sunrise Hyderabad, it has proven to be, we should be in for quite a cracker of a game with these 2 batting sides. And who I think is going to win in that, I don't know, because I think Mumbai should play Mills again. I don't understand why they dropped Mills from the other game. I think if they play Ramandeep Singh at let's say a number 5, because if he has a reputation of being a good player of spin, and he goes at 136 as a strike rate. So if they've got a case where him and Pollard, you've got a bit of a case where Pollard hits off the seamers, and you don't have the case where you have to play out the spinners, because Ramandeep Singh can get the quick runs off the spinners. And then with only one overseas player playing in their top 6, I think they will give them the chance to play someone like a Fabian Allen. And also they could even play Meredith and Timo Mills along with Bumrah to give them a bit more might in their pace bowling stocks. And let's see how they go. But I certainly think Mumbai Indians will be looking to chase. And even when they bowl first, they wouldn't want to be giving too many runs against this Punjab side. But I think the chasing side will have quite a bit of an advantage. Both these sides have got areas of their attack which are quite work in progress. For Punjab Kings, whether it being that 5th bowler, yeah, that fifth bowler, if you look at Odean Smith and Liam Livingstone, if Liam Livingstone isn't, if he gets hit in the overs that he bowls, and he hasn't exactly been utilised too much apart from one game against CSK, and Odean Smith is fairly work in progress, so let's see how that goes. And for Mumbai Indians, I think with only playing one overseas player in their top six, I think that it would allow them to get the likes of Fabian Allen in. And also, if you've got a Bumrah, Mills, Meredith, that looks a really good pace bowling lineup, along with the likes of Murugan Ashwin, and there is a wrist spin as well. So let's see how that game goes. And I think that the chasing side will pretty much win that game. So yeah, that's on this game, and let's see what happens tomorrow. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Please share this video with your friends. And remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?